The English Premier League was back with a bang this weekend with 10 games up and down the country from Friday to Monday. And let's have a look in depth at this long weekend to start the Premier League season with 5 things that we learned from these matches. So I've just got to highlight 5 games out of these 10, and I'm going to start with Everton against Brighton. Now, this is a game where I thought it could well have been a boring 0-0 draw. I mean, you've got Brighton, who have a very exciting young coach. They've performed so well over these past 2 seasons. Everton, although they have struggled at times on the pitch, they have been very defensively solid. But all of that went out of the window and some this weekend. Brighton end up this weekend top of the tree. They've scored 3 goals without reply against Everton at Goodison Park. The Seagulls absolutely picked apart the carcass of what was left of the Toffees side this weekend. It was an embarrassing game to start Everton's season. I would definitely be worried if I was an Everton fan going off of this evidence. I mean, they were just beating all ends up. They dominated the possession, Brighton. They played some fantastic football and they just worked it so well. Everton leakier than a colander really at the back. I mean, they were letting so many chances go. Matoma put Brighton up 1-0 up halfway through the first half. Welbeck made it 2-0 from there from Brighton, and they were just picking him apart. It was an excellently taken goal from Danny Welbeck, but then Ashley Young taking out, was it Matoma? I can't remember. It was one of the attackers for Brighton, but he just clean took him out. He probably just thought, you know what, I can't be bothered here. I'm just going to have an early bath. Got himself sent off. Everton having to play about 25 minutes or so at the end of the game with just 10 men. Adingra ended up making it 3-0 to Brighton in the end. And like I said, the Seagulls are top of the league. Everton are bottom of the league. A terrible way to start their campaign. Next up, I'm going to talk about Southampton and Newcastle. Now, I predicted this was going to be a close game, and so it proved to be, but it also had a few surprises in there, not least from Ben Brereton Diaz, the new Southampton striker. I mean, this incident between him and Fabian Shaw has dominated the discourse in these last few days or so since this game was played. And for me, I mean, I know why the referee has sent him off, but I just do not agree with it. I don't agree with it at all. Both players were as bad as one another with this. Newcastle are appealing the decision as well, but for the importance of this game, Fabian Shaw was sent off for a headbutt officially. That's what it was, but it was not a headbutt. It was the tiniest little lean in. That's it. There was no aggression in there really whatsoever. Brereton Diaz, you know, I was full of praise of him last season when he was playing for my team, Sheffield United, but he's got to hang his head in shame with this one. I think he's going to be embarrassed when he sees this one back, because that is, it is pitiful really that he got Shaw sent off for that. But in the end, if that's what he was trying to do, which it was what he was trying to do, if that's what he was trying to do, karma ended up biting the Saints in the end, with Newcastle getting a goal thanks to pouncing on a defensive error from the Southampton back line. It was Joe Linton who put the ball into the net to make it 1-0, the only goal of the game. Southampton, they did fashion some chances, but yeah, that mistake at the back ended up biting them very severely. But yeah, and let's move on next to a London derby, Brentford against Crystal Palace, a 2-1 victory for Brentford to start the season, very positive for them. But the controversy really with this one is the fact that Eze's goal was disallowed in the first half. Eze scoring an incredible free kick in the first half for Crystal Palace, but the referee already blew his whistle, and therefore VAR could not intervene with that one. I've already done a video going over the farcical situation as to why that was disallowed. I don't agree with it at all. You know, we've only had a few days of Premier League action, and already for me there are 2 scandalous calls at the start of this season, which I think it just shouldn't be allowed. But here we are, we've got all the technology, for just idiots using it, unfortunately. People who just don't know how to use the technology or even implement rules properly, because that's the real problem. They're following the letter of the law, but really the letter of the law has to change if that's the case. But yeah, Brentford, a very big win for them. Crystal Palace going to be gutted with losing that one, because they easily could have won or draw it had that goal stood. Next up, we're just going to rattle through these last 2. Next up, we've got Manchester City against Chelsea, a 2-0 win for the champions to start of the season. Chelsea obviously embroiled in controversy because of Raheem Sterling's statement saying that he should have been involved in the squad. That squad, of course, is incredibly bloated, and of course, Enzo Maresca, with the best will in the world, cannot do anything really to settle them. They look well and truly second best in this one. I don't think Chelsea were particularly bad in this one, but Man City were just better, and they'll get off to the perfect start, a 2-0 victory for them. And lastly, again, you know, beginners you mean to go on, Leicester City against Tottenham. Tottenham bottle another lead. They were battering Leicester in the first half. They dominated this game, and they threw it away. A 1-1 draw between these two. Pedro Porro got the first goal of the game. He drew first blood just 30 minutes into the game. Tottenham really should have been out of sight by half-time, but that man, of course, Jamie Vardy, ended up equalising for the Foxes, and well and truly taking the mick out of the Spurs fans and the players, telling them where to go, and also showing that he's won more Premier League titles than their club has recently as well. So yeah, I just found that hilarious. Vardy is having a party, he is back, and Leicester are also back with an incredible draw in the end with that. That's a huge point for them. They're going to need all the points they can get, probably because there's going to be a massive PSR breach that's going to come their way, but apparently it's only going to be 6 points as well, which if they only get a 6-point deduction for what they did, that is a humongous win, better than any win they can get on the pitch. That'd be the biggest win possible off the pitch. But yeah, there we go, Spurs bottled it already. Ange Bull not proving to be very fruitful early on in this season. So there we go, guys, those were the 5 of the things that we learned from this Premier League season. Spurs bottling it, Man City looked great, VAR and referee are useless. The Premier League is back, baby, and we'll be here to cover it all. And we'll be previewing this weekend's action as well, with 5 matches to look out for as well. That'll be going out later this week here on thefootballchronicle.com.